All right, let's dive right into another deep dive.
Deep dive.
Today, we're hanging out in Judge Judy's courtroom.
Oh, excellent.
And looking at small claims cases.
I love Judge Judy.
A lot of these cases, I think, will resonate with a lot of people because I know so many times I've gotten myself into situations or almost gotten myself into situations where, I had to lend money to a friend or maybe there was some kind of verbal agreement and it just went south.
Absolutely.
We'll see how Judge Judy handles these.
Exactly. Because they're so common. Like, these are not like, highfalutin legal theories. These are like, my cousin borrowed money and never paid me back. Or I paid for a service that was never rendered.
Exactly.
These are like very relatable cases.
Yeah, and Judge Judy really cuts to the chase and just gets to the heart of these matters.
And people love that. I mean, she's been on TV for, 25 years?
Oh, yeah.
People they're drawn to her non-nonsense style and her just clear thinking.
Well, let's look at this first case.
Okay, let's do it.
Lissa is taking on Ernie and Sonia. It's a husband and wife team.
Oh, fun.
Running a local T-shirt printing business.
Okay.
Lissa wants a refund, claiming that the artwork for the T-shirts, she got these made for her racing team.
Okay.
These were charity T-shirts for her racing team. She's claiming the artwork wasn't up to par, but there's a twist.
Okay.
She's also accusing Ernie of lying to PayPal.
Oh, boy.
Saying that Lissa had already picked up the shirts when she requested a refund.
Oh, interesting. So there's kind of like a secondary issue above and beyond just the quality of the T-shirts.
Right, like a breach of contract or potentially even like fraud.
Right, exactly.
And naturally, Ernie and Sonia are countersuing.
Of course they are.
For defamation. They're saying that she left a scathing online review.
Okay.
Full of falsehoods.
So this is going to be good.
It's a good one. So
I love these he said, she said.
Yeah. So what do you think is interesting about this case right off the bat?
Well, I think the most interesting thing is Judge Judy kind of honing in on that potential lie to PayPal. Because even though, yes, the quality of the T-shirts is an issue, if he lied to PayPal to get out of giving her a refund, that could be fraud.
Right.
And that's a lot more serious.
Much more serious. You can't really quantify like subjective bad artwork, but you can definitely Yeah. So it's almost like Judge Judy's going straight for like
the jugular.
The jugular.
The legal jugular.
Let's look at some of these details.
Okay.
Lissa says that she never even picked up the shirts and immediately ordered replacements from a different company.
Okay.
Ernie and Sonia say, no, you absolutely picked them up. They even try to explain a missing quantity by saying she did a partial pickup.
Partial pickup, okay.
So she picked up some of the shirts, but not all of them.
Okay, so there's like missing T-shirts in the mix.
Right. And so Lissa, at this point, she brings up that Ernie was very aggressive with her during this back and forth. And there's actually some evidence that potentially supports this. So Sonia, who's Ernie's wife, called Lissa the next day, and Lissa describes that call as being very apologetic.
Ooh, the apologetic spouse.
Right.
Usually means the other spouse is in the wrong.
Usually a bad sign.
Yeah, it's a bad sign.
So, then they try to pull this classic courtroom move and paint Lissa as someone who just likes to complain. They bring up other negative reviews she's left for businesses.
Oh, come on.
What do you make of that kind of strategy?
I mean, it's a strategy, I guess, but it's risky.
Yeah.
Because Judge Judy is smart. She can see right through that.
Yeah.
And especially if the plaintiff is smart and can counter that, then it really backfires.
Yeah.
It makes them look bad.
Well, in this case, Lissa came prepared, and she brought with her positive reviews she had given other businesses.
That's great.
So she's just saying, like, look, if I have a good experience, I leave a good review. If I have a bad experience, I leave a bad review.
That's exactly what you should do as a consumer.
So drum roll, please.
I love a drum roll.
What's the verdict?
Lay it on me.
Does Lissa get her refund?
I hope so.
She does.
Yes.
Judge Judy rules in her favor.
I love it when justice is served.
She finds Ernie's claim that she picked up the shirts completely unconvincing, and to add insult to injury...
Oh, tell me.
She tosses out the Galgo's defamation counterclaim.
Wow. She's not messing around.
And she awards Lissa $693.
Good for her.
For the shirts.
So she got her money back.
She got her money back.
Plus, she doesn't have to deal with a defamation suit.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this case just goes to show how important clear communication is, especially when you're talking about money.
Absolutely. I mean, a simple contract could have prevented this whole thing.
Right, like if they had signed something.
Yeah, outlining, the design, the pickup, and what the refund terms were. None of this would have happened.
So let's move on to a case that really hits close to home.
Oh, close to home. Okay.
It's about family, funerals, and financial favors.
Oh, no. This is where it gets dicey.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Family and money, never a good mix.
We've got Tracy, who's suing her cousin, Chris.
Okay.
She gave Chris money to cover his mother's funeral expenses, who is Tracy's aunt.
Got it.
Tracy's adamant it was a loan. Chris is insisting that it was a gift.
Oh, wow.
So this case is a perfect example of how money can really muddle even the strongest family bonds.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder, like, what was the intent? Was it, a loan disguised as a gift or a gift with strings attached?
Exactly.
It's hard to say.
So Tracy had been taking care of her aunt for 8 years.
Oh, wow.
And when her aunt passes away, she says the hospital told her that she was going to get hit with an abandonment charge.
Oh, my gosh.
If she didn't immediately claim her aunt's body.
Wow. Talk about pressure. In an already stressful situation.
And so this makes me think, like, was the hospital just kind of playing hardball here? Or is that really like a legitimate legal concern?
Well, I mean, we could do a whole other deep dive on the responsibilities of next of kin when somebody passes away.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it definitely creates this sense of urgency for Tracy.
Exactly. And so she calls up Chris.
Okay.
And Chris tells her that he needs this money, but he needs it to avoid his girlfriend's father finding out about his cocaine addiction.
Wow.
So right off the bat, we're getting these
red flags.
Red flags, yeah.
So it makes you wonder, was he manipulating her?
Right.
Knowing that she was in this vulnerable position to get money from her.
And so Tracy ends up paying $1,500 to the funeral home.
Okay.
Chris only ends up contributing $200, and that's through a GoFundMe that he launches after Tracy's already fronted all this money.
Wow.
Oh, and also he kept that $200 for himself.
What? Oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
That's really bad. I mean, the GoFundMe's one thing.
Right.
But after she's already given you the money?
Right, and you're keeping the money.
Come on.
Yeah. So what do you think? Do you think Judge Judy sees through Chris's little act?
I hope so. I mean, that's just, it's low.
Oh, she does. Big time.
Good.
She awards Tracy the full $1,500.
Awesome.
And she says clearly this was a loan considering the context and, his actions.
His actions, yeah.
So I think this case really just goes to show you need to set boundaries with family.
Big time.
Even when you're dealing with something like grief.
I mean, it's hard because when someone's grieving, you want to help.
Yeah.
But you also have to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And again, I'm going to say it. Document everything.
Right. Even if it's your cousin, like, get it in writing.
Get it in writing.
All right, let's move on to our next case, which is really interesting.
Oh, good.
This one involves Vanessa,
Okay.
who is suing her personal trainer.
Oh, okay.
Dylan.
Okay.
She says he owes her money. She gave him a loan after he confided in her about his drug problem.
Oh, no.
And financial struggles. Dylan, however, is saying, no, this wasn't a loan. This was a prepayment.
Oh, come on.
For training sessions.
Okay.
And it was covered by a trade agreement that he personally confirmed.
A trade agreement.
Yeah. So this trade agreement,
Start quotes,
right?
Yeah.
It's really interesting. It's this weird mishmash of a prepayment for services and like a loan agreement.
Okay.
And legally speaking, it's
a mess.
It's a mess, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably not going to hold up.
Yeah.
But it does make you kind of curious.
Yeah.
About what his intentions were.
Right. Like, what was he trying to pull here?
Right, exactly.
So what's interesting about this case is that Vanessa has a picture of Dylan's driver's license on her phone.
That's weird. Why would she have that?
Yeah, and Judge Judy kind of picks up on that. Like, that's not really typical for just like a client-trainer relationship.
No, it's not.
So that already is like
a red flag.
Yeah, like what's going on?
What's the real story here?
And to make matters worse, Dylan had lied to his wife about where the money came from.
Oh, boy.
And his wife only found out about this because Vanessa ended up contacting her on social media.
Oh, wow.
Because she wanted to get her money back.
Oh, that's messy.
So messy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's dive into this so-called trade agreement.
Okay.
So this is what it says. Dylan was accepting $2,300 from Vanessa in trade and paid in advance for TR training.
Okay.
So TR training is, I guess, like his
personal training brand.
Yeah, his business or whatever. But then there's also this clause where he agrees to pay back the full amount in 12 months with monthly payments of no less than $100.
So it's like a loan and a prepayment? I don't get it.
It's confusing.
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
It just screams sketchy to me.
And you know who else thinks it's confusing and sketchy?
Judge Judy.
Judge Judy. She doesn't buy it for 1 second.
Not a chance.
Especially after hearing Vanessa's side of the story, where she says, look, he told me he was struggling. He begged me for this money.
Right.
And so that's like a very different story.
Yeah, that's not a business transaction.
Right.
That's a friend asking for help.
And then you add on top of that picture of his driver's license on her phone, and it just really strengthens Vanessa's case.
It gives it that much more weight.
Yeah, and then Dylan's wife ends up having to come to court too, and she's like, I didn't know anything about this money until Vanessa contacted me.
Oh, wow.
So again, it just makes it seem like Dylan was trying to hide things.
Yeah, like he knew what he was doing was wrong.
Exactly. So what do you think? Does Vanessa get her money back?
I really hope so.
She does.
Yes.
Judge Judy awards her $1,800.
Awesome.
Which was the remaining balance on the loan.
That's fantastic.
So again, I think this is another example of why you got to be careful when you're mixing your finances and your friendships.
Absolutely. It's like, choose one.
Right.
You could be a good friend or you could be a lender, but don't try to be both.
Or if you're going to lend to your friend, make sure you have
a contract.
Yeah.
A real contract.
Not some shady trade agreement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not something you cooked up on the back of a napkin.
Okay, get ready for a doozy because this one is a real family feud. More twists and turns than you can imagine.
Okay, bring it on. I'm ready.
We've got Herman and Tina. They are suing their former son-in-law, Dalton.
Okay.
They co-signed for a truck.
Okay.
And he never paid them back.
Oh, no.
And then on top of that, Dalton and their daughter were living with Herman and Tina for a while.
Uh-oh.
And they're saying that they never paid rent either.
Wow, so they got hit twice.
Twice, yeah. So Dalton says, the truck was either a gift or it should be considered a marital debt from his divorce.
Okay.
And as for the rent, he says that should have been addressed during the divorce proceedings.
Okay, so he's got a defense.
He does have a defense, but let's look at the details.
Okay, let's dig in.
Because they are juicy. So the Smoothies are saying that they were taking money from their daughter's paychecks.
What?
To pay themselves back for the truck.
Oh, that's so messy. You can't just take money from your daughter's paychecks?
And Judge Judy agrees. She's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that's not how it works.
Like, where's the documentation?
Right, exactly.
Why didn't you bring this up during the divorce?
Yeah, if this was a real debt, why would you have addressed it then?
And then here's where it gets really interesting. The Smoothies are saying that they also sold Dalton a boat.
A boat? Come on.
Yeah.
They're really trying to milk this.
I know, and Judge Judy finds that completely unbelievable, ridiculous.
Especially if he's so financially unstable.
Right.
Why would you sell your boat?
And it just really seems to hurt their case because it's just like, okay, well, if he could afford this truck, he couldn't afford the rent. How could he possibly afford a boat?
Right. It just doesn't add up.
So there's more. Turns out Dalton has custody of the Smoothies' grandchildren.
Oh, wow. So the kids are in the mix now.
And the kids were living with the grandparents for a bit.
Okay.
But then they were returned to their dad.
Okay.
And the Smoothies are saying that it was...
bad blood.
Yeah, bad blood. It culminated in a restraining order.
Oh, no.
Because they sent Dalton a letter saying that if he didn't pay them back, they were going to call his employer.
Oh, no. That's not good.
So what do you think about that?
I mean, you can't threaten people's livelihoods.
Right.
To get money. That's like extortion or something.
Yeah, it's getting very dicey.
Yeah, very dicey.
So Judge Judy, how do you think she handles this?
Oh, man, I don't know. This is a tough one.
So she doesn't mix words. She immediately dismisses both the truck claim and the rent claim.
She just throws it all out.
Yeah, and she says this lawsuit was ill-advised.
Oh.
She says that these are things that should have been addressed during the divorce proceedings.
Yeah, I mean, she's got a point.
And she just doesn't believe their story.
So Dalton gets off scot-free.
Scot-free.
Wow, that's surprising.
I think this is another example where you need to...
keep family out of it.
Yeah, like just keep your finances and family.
Separate.
Yeah.
As separate as possible.
So moving on, we have Jasmine and her ex-boyfriend, Joshua.
Ooh, an ex-boyfriend. This should be good.
They are arguing over, get this, a French bulldog.
A Frenchie. Okay, I'm already invested.
So Jasmine's suing Joshua.
Okay.
For the cost of their French bulldog. Joshua countersues for assault and vandalism.
Assault and vandalism. Wow, this escalated quickly.
So he's saying that she attacked him when he wouldn't let her take the dog.
Okay.
But here's where it gets interesting. Neither Jasmine nor Joshua actually owned the dog.
What? Who owned the dog?
They had a payment plan with the breeder, Frederick, who retains ownership until the dog is paid off.
Wow, that's a good reminder. You know, you think of your pets as your family.
Yeah.
But legally, they are property.
Yeah.
And in this case, the breeder is still the owner.
Yeah.
Until they're fully paid for.
Right, and that's going to come up in Judge Judy's final decision.
Interesting. I'm curious to see how she handles this.
Yeah, so Jasmine is saying that she paid for most of the dog,
Okay.
and most of the vet bills, but Judge Judy isn't really convinced.
Does she have proof?
It's pretty flimsy. It's another good example of why you need to
Document.
Yeah, even if it's with your romantic partner, just keep track of everything.
Yeah, emotions can cloud your judgment.
Right.
And a receipt is a receipt.
Yeah, exactly. Now let's get to the assault allegations.
Okay, here we go.
So they do have video evidence
Oh, boy.
showing Jasmine lunging towards Joshua.
Okay.
But it's not clear if there was any physical contact.
So it's like, did she actually hit him?
Right. So that raises this interesting legal question of what is assault
Versus attempted assault.
versus attempted assault.
Right, like, was her action enough to meet that legal definition?
So what do you think Judge Judy does? This is a messy one.
Oh, man, with the dog and
The
everything.
dog, yeah.
I'm stumped.
Well, she rules that Scrappy, that's the dog.
Okay,
Scrappy stays with the breeder.
wow. So neither of them gets the dog.
Neither of them.
That seems fair,
Yeah.
given the circumstances.
And she orders Joshua to pay Jasmine $1,600 for the vet bills that Jasmine paid. But Jasmine doesn't get anything for the dog.
Okay.
So it's kind of like
A draw.
yeah, sort of.
But at least a breeder gets to keep the dog.
Right. At least the dog is with someone who's, financially.
Respectful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this case shows that you got to be careful when you're entering into these kinds of financial agreements, especially
Little romantic partner.
with romantic partners, because things can go south really quickly.
They do, and it's easy to overlook those details when you're in love.
Exactly.
And then you end up in Judge Judy's courtroom
Exactly.
fighting over a Frenchie.
Okay, buckle up, because this next case involves a car crash,
Oh, boy.
a teenage driver,
Uh-oh.
and a really shocking revelation.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Hit me with it.
So we've got Paulina
Okay.
suing Norma
Okay.
and her 17-year-old son, Christopher.
Okay.
They were involved in a car accident,
Okay.
and she sustained damages and injuries.
Okay.
But, and this is the kicker, Christopher was driving without a license.
Oh, no, that's a big no-no.
Big no-no.
Yes.
So Norma admits that she allowed her son to drive without a license so that she can get to work.
Oh, come on.
And her daughter could get to school.
That's so irresponsible.
I know.
You're putting everyone at risk,
Yeah.
especially your own kids.
So Christopher says that Paulina swerved into him
Okay.
while he was turning left, but Judge Judy,
Cuts through the BS.
she very quickly determines that Paulina had a green light and the right of way. So Christopher was clearly at fault.
So he's trying to blame the victim.
Right.
Set the
But
little
she's already on
shaky ground because he was driving illegally.
Right.
And then he tries to say, well, his driving instructor said it was okay for him to drive with a permit and after he had taken lessons. What? That's ridiculous. Driving instructors aren't lawyers.
And Judge Judy is like, are you serious?
Yeah, they can't overrule the law.
Yeah.
That's just common sense.
And then it turns out Norma's insurance company is not covering the accident.
Of course not. He wasn't licensed.
Yeah.
That's why you have insurance.
So Judge Judy is really upset with Norma
I bet she is.
because she let her underage and unlicensed son drive, especially with his little sister as a passenger.
Yeah, that's just reckless. It could have been so much worse.
So what's the verdict?
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Judge Judy rules in favor of Paulina
Good.
and awards her $10,000
Wow.
for the damages to her car. And she really calls out Christopher
Good. He needs to be held accountable.
for trying to blame the
Yep.
victim and for not showing any remorse.
Yeah, that's important too.
Yeah.
He needs to learn from this.
This case is just like a,
Public service announcement.
Yes.
For responsible driving.
yeah, and it's really scary to think about.
Yeah.
How many people might be out there driving without a license and putting other people at risk?
It's a sobering thought.
Okay, last case for this deep dive.
Okay, let's wrap it up.
We've got Michael,
Okay.
who is suing Donald
Okay.
for failing to deliver the title to a classic car
A classic car. Okay, I'm listening.
after a trade that involved Michael's truck.
Oh, another car trade gone wrong.
Donald countersues
Oh, of course he does.
and says that Michael didn't fulfill his end of the bargain.
Okay, so it's a battle of the broken promises.
Yeah. And the biggest issue here,
Let me guess. No documentation?
no documentation.
Shocker.
I know, they don't have a bill of sale,
Unbelievable.
no written agreement, nothing.
These people never learn.
I know.
It's like they want to end up in Judge Judy's courtroom.
Right. So Michael says he was supposed to get the title to the classic car once Donald received an additional $10,000.
Okay.
But Donald says, no, that's not what happened.
Okay.
Michael didn't pay the 10 grand, and plus, his truck needed all these repairs.
So he's saying Michael's the one who breached the contract.
Right. And then to make matters worse, Donald says he bought this classic car with cash.
With cash.
But he has no bank records.
Of course not. Where are the receipts?
No receipts.
This is unbelievable.
So how does Judge Judy even begin to handle this case?
This is a tough one. I mean, without any evidence, it's just a whole said, she said situation.
I know. But somehow she always figures it out.
She's like a legal magician.
So she throws out both claims.
What? So nobody wins?
Nobody wins. She says, return the vehicles.
Wow. So it's like the trade never happened.
Exactly.
That's kind of a brilliant solution, actually.
It is, because how can she really decide?
Right, without any proof.
When they're both saying these conflicting things and they have no evidence.
Yeah, it's the only fair outcome.
This case is just another example of why...
Documentation.
Right.
And common sense, people.
Yeah, do your due diligence.
Exactly.
And don't make these kinds of deals with strangers.
Especially with classic cars. They're just asking for trouble.
Okay.
All right?
That wraps up part one.
Part one.
Of our Judge Judy deep dive.
Deep dive.
We'll be back with more courtroom drama and more
legal lessons.
From Judge Judy in part 2.
Can't wait.
Welcome back to our Judge Judy deep dive.
Round 2.
We're going to jump right back into these fascinating cases.
About ready.
So up next, we've got Susie.
Okay.
She is suing her nephew, Noah.
Okay.
For the value of a Toyota 4Runner.
Or 4Runners, yeah.
So this truck was actually originally titled in Susie's name.
Okay.
But her son, Chris, was using it.
Okay.
But then Chris went to jail.
Oh.
And while Chris was in jail, Noah, the nephew, was living at Susie's house.
Okay.
And he got rid of the truck.
Without her permission. Oh, boy, that's going to be a problem.
It's a big problem. So this case really makes you think about ownership.
Right, like who actually owns the truck?
Yeah. And also consent.
Absolutely.
Did Noah have the legal right to just get rid of this vehicle?
Right. Even if it wasn't running, even if it was a junker, it's still technically her property.
Yeah.
If it's titled in her name.
Exactly. So Susie is saying that the truck was a gift to her son, Chris, about a year before he went to jail.
Okay, but the title's still in her name.
Still in her name. So that makes things
murky.
Yeah.
Legally speaking, it's not clear.
And this happens a lot in families.
All the time.
Yeah, where people don't really...
dot their I's and cross their... legally.
So Noah is saying that he had a verbal agreement with Susie to take ownership of the truck. He says the truck wasn't running.
Okay.
And that he even offered to pay her $500 for it.
Oh, okay.
And that she accepted.
This is a verbal agreement.
Verbal agreement.
Okay.
So those are legally binding.
They can, but...
it's really hard to prove.
Because it's his word against hers.
Right.
It's a classic he said, she said.
Yeah. And naturally, Susie denies all of this.
So who does Judge Judy believe?
That's the question.
Right, because they both sound somewhat believable.
Right. So then Noah says that Susie asked for the $500 for the truck and that he tried to pay her, but Susie's like, no, that never happened.
Oh, man. So now we have like a double he said, she said.
Yeah.
About the agreement itself and then about whether payment was offered or not.
So are you ready for a twist?
Hit me.
So Noah claims that Susie filed a police report against him.
What?
For grand theft auto.
Grand theft auto. For a broken down 4Runner.
After he didn't make the first $500 payment.
Wow. Okay. So now it's getting personal.
Yeah, it's getting really personal.
It makes you wonder, like, is she really just trying to get her property back?
Right.
Or is she trying to get revenge?
Exactly. So let's back up for a second. Legally speaking, did Noah have the right to junk this truck?
Even though it was a clunker, it was still technically her property?
Yeah.
So no, he probably didn't have the legal right to just junk it without her consent.
So what about those conflicting stories about, the agreement and the payment?
Right.
Who does Judge Judy believe?
That's the million-dollar question. She's really good at reading people.
Yeah.
And she's seen it all. So I'm curious to see what she decides.
Well, she ends up dismissing Susie's claim.
What? So Noah wins?
He wins.
Wow, I did not see that coming.
Yeah, she basically says that he didn't break the law.
Interesting. So she must have believed him.
She must have believed him.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Wow.
This case just shows that even when you're dealing with family, you need to
be careful.
Get everything in writing.
Always get it in writing.
And
don't junk cars without permission.
Yes, exactly.
Even if they're clunkers.
All right, so now we're going to move on to Javon and Darion.
Oh, these guys, this is a friendship story gone wrong.
Gone very wrong.
Yes.
So Javon's suing Darion, his former friend.
Okay.
For unpaid loans and bail money.
Oh, man, not bail money.
I know. So the backstory is Darion moved back to Texas from Colorado and was having some financial trouble.
Okay.
And Javon stepped in to help him out.
So he was being a good friend.
A good friend.
But I guess it went south?
It definitely went south.
Yeah, this case really makes you think, like, When does helping a friend become a legal obligation?
Right.
And when does generosity cross the line into enable?
Right.
Tough questions.
So Javon comes to court super prepared.
Oh, good.
He has meticulously documented every single loan, every payment.
I love it when they come prepared.
He's got screenshots, got everything.
Smart.
Yeah, and then this is so important
It is.
in these kinds of cases.
Absolutely, because it shows, not only the amount owed,
right,
but also the pattern of behavior.
Right, like this wasn't just a one-time thing.
Exactly.
This happened repeatedly.
And I'm sure Judge Judy picks up on that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
She's like a human lie detector.
And then Jerian's like, I don't really remember how much I borrowed. It was a few $100s.
Few $100s? Come on, you're in court.
I know, right? And he also says that Javon was just, being nice by giving him the money.
Oh, please.
Which, maybe at the beginning, but he clearly went beyond that.
Yeah, and if you're in court over it, it's obviously more than just a friendly favor.
Exactly. And then, to make matters worse, Darion ends up moving into Javon's spare room.
Oh, boy.
Because he couldn't afford his rent anymore.
Okay, so Javon really went above and beyond.
Above and beyond, yeah.
To help this guy.
But then...
I bet it doesn't end well.
It does not end well.
What happens?
So they get into a huge argument. It turns physical.
Oh, no.
And Darion gets arrested.
Wow. So the friendship is officially over.
Over.
Yeah.
And Darion tries to claim that he was falsely arrested.
Falsely arrested. I mean, come on, they got into a fight.
I know. But Judge Judy's like, hold on a second.
What happened?
She points out that Darion had an outstanding warrant.
Oh, so he was going to get arrested anyway.
Anyway.
Wow, that's a bad break.
Yeah.
Or a good break for Javon.
Right, because it really wasn't Javon's fault that he ended up in jail.
Right. He kind of brought it on himself.
Yeah. So what about the money?
Right. That's what we're all here for.
Yeah. Does Judge Judy make Darion pay up?
I'm on the edge of my seat.
She does.
Yes. Justice for Javon.
She awards Javon the full amount, $2,727.56.
That's a lot of money.
Which includes the loans, the bail money, and even some direct payments that Javon had made for Darion's housing.
Wow, Javon really went all out.
He did.
And thank goodness he had all that documentation.
I know, right?
Saved the day.
So this is, another case that really shows
you
need to be careful about lending money to friends.
Even your best friends.
Yeah, because it can really turn sour.
Absolutely. Sometimes the kind of thing you can do for a friend is not lend them money.
Yeah, or if you are going to, just get everything in writing.
Always get it in writing. Protect yourself.
Okay, so are you ready for this?
Hit me.
Michael's back.
Oh, no.
From the classic car case.
The one who got his truck back?
He got his truck back.
Okay.
I remember he traded his truck for that vintage Chrysler.
I remember.
No paperwork.
No paperwork.
And it was a mess.
Total mess.
Okay.
So he's back in court.
This guy loves classic cars.
He loves classic cars.
And apparently he doesn't learn from his mistakes.
He's suing a different car seller, Donald, for failing to deliver the title to another vintage car.
Another one? What is he doing?
I know. So it's a 1947 Chrysler sedan.
Okay, another Chrysler.
Yeah, right.
And just like before, it involved a trade for Michael's truck.
So he got a new truck.
Yeah, he got a new truck after Judge Judy made them.
Oh, right. They had to return the vehicles.
Return the vehicle.
So he traded his new truck for another classic car.
He's on a mission.
He's on a mission. I hope he got it in writing same time.
Well, you can probably guess what happened.
No paperwork.
No paperwork.
This guy is unbelievable.
Unbelievable. So Donald's countersuing.
Of course he is.
Saying that Michael didn't hold up his end of the bargain.
Okay, so it's the same story, different car.
Same story, different car.
This is just a recipe for disaster.
I know.
Verbal agreements, especially for something as valuable as a classic car, never end well.
They don't. So Michael's saying that they agreed that he would get the title to the Chrysler.
Okay.
After Donald received an additional $10,000.
Okay.
But Donald is like, no, that's not what happened. He didn't pay me the $10,000. And plus, his truck needed all these repairs.
Oh, right.
That cost me a fortune.
So he's trying to say that Michael's the one who breached the contract.
Right.
By not paying the extra money and by giving him a truck that needed work.
Yeah.
Okay, but does he have any proof?
You can probably guess.
No proof.
No proof. No proof. And then, to make matters worse, Donald says that he bought this car with cash.
With cash. Again.
With cash. But he has no bank record.
No bank records, no receipts. This guy's got nothing.
Nothing.
It's unbelievable.
So how does Judge Judy even begin to untangle this mess?
I don't know, but she always seems to find a way.
She's amazing.
She's like a legal ninja.
So what does she do?
I'm dying to know.
She throws out both claims?
What?
Again.
So nobody wins.
Nobody wins.
Another draw.
And she orders them to return the vehicles.
So the trade is null and void.
It's like it never happened.
Wow.
It's the only fair outcome.
Yeah, I mean, what else could she do?
Right, there's no evidence.
They both look like fools.
They do.
Yeah.
And they probably both learned a valuable lesson.
Hopefully, yeah. Get it in writing, people.
Yeah, don't trade cars with strangers.
Especially not classic cars.
Okay.
All right.
We are back with Susie and Noah.
Oh, not these two again.
I know.
Round 2 of the family feud.
The
The Forerunner saga continues.
So Susie's still saying that Noah jumped this truck without her permission, and Noah's saying, no, we had an agreement.
Okay, so we're back to square one.
To square one.
With these two.
And remember, Noah's saying that he offered to pay Susie $500 for the truck, but she denied that conversation ever took place.
Right.
So this time, Noah actually comes to court with some evidence.
Oh, okay.
He's got a tow truck invoice
Okay.
showing that he properly disposed of the vehicle.
Okay, so he's trying to prove that he didn't just abandon it or something, that he went through the proper channels.
But there's a problem.
What's the problem?
The invoice doesn't have a date.
Oh, no.
So Judge Judy's like, is this legitimate?
Right, was this created after the fact?
Yeah, exactly.
To make his case look better.
Yeah, and then Noah drops a bombshell.
Okay, what is it?
He claims that Susie filed a police report against him.
A police report. For what?
For Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto. Again? For that Forerunner?
I know, right?
That seems a bit extreme.
And it was all because he didn't make that first $500 payment.
Oh, wow. So she's really trying to punish him.
It seems like it, yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't look good for her.
Yeah. So what does Judge Judy make of all of this?
Well, she's got to be pretty good at seeing through people's BS.
She is.
So I'm sure she can tell who's being truthful and who's exaggerated.
She grills them both.
I bet she does.
She's asking them all these questions about, when this agreement happened, was there any proof of this agreement? And
yeah, and what about the invoice?
the invoice.
With no date.
Yeah, and it seems like she's more inclined
To believe Noah.
to believe Noah this time.
Interesting. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think part of it is that he consistently maintained
Okay.
that he was willing to pay her for the truck.
Right. So it wasn't like he was trying to deal it.
Right.
He was trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, and it seems like she thought that Susie calling the cops was a little bit of an overreaction.
Yeah, I mean, Grand Theft Auto. For a junkie Forerunner?
Yeah.
Come on.
So does Judge Judy punish Noah?
Well, she already dismissed Susie's claim last time.
Right.
So I'm curious to see what she does this time around.
So she ends up ruling in Susie's favor.
Really?
But she only awards her $500.
$500. So the amount that Noah offered her.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's like a partial victory for Susie?
Yeah.
But not really.
Not really. And I think Judge Judy recognizes that the truck probably wasn't worth that much anyway.
Right, it was a clunker.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a symbolic victory.
Yeah.
More than anything else.
This case is just crazy.
I know, right?
How these family
It
dynamics
turns so sour.
turn so sour.
Yeah, over a car.
Over a Forerunner.
It's sad, really.
It is. So I think what we can learn from this case is...
Get everything in writing.
Yeah.
Even with family.
Even with family.
And sometimes it's best to just walk away
yeah.
before things get too heated.
Before you end up on Judge Judy.
Exactly.
All right, moving on to Javon and Darion again.
Oh, these two. Back for more.
Part 3.
Part 3 of the friendship saga.
So, to recap.
Yeah, remind me, what happened again?
Darion borrowed money from Javon for rent, for bail.
Oh, right. And then he moved into Javon's spare room.
Exactly.
And then they got into a fight and Darion got arrested.
Yep. And Darion tried to claim that he was falsely arrested, but Judge Judy was like, no, you had an outstanding warrant.
Oh, right. So it wasn't Javon's fault.
Exactly. So now we're back
to the money issue.
To the money issue. Does Darion have to pay Javon back?
Well, let's see what Judge Judy says.
Okay, so Javon, as we know, is super organized.
He's got spreadsheets.
He's got the receipts, the screenshots, the documentation.
Came prepared.
He came prepared.
I love that.
And this really helps his case.
Oh, absolutely. Documentation is key in these financial disputes.
It is.
It shows that you're serious, and it makes your claims more credible.
Right, and Darion, on the other hand...
Still can't remember how much he borrowed.
He still can't remember. He's saying it was just a few $100s.
Oh, come on, Darion. You're in court now.
I know.
That's just serious.
Yeah, and he keeps saying that Javon was just being nice by lending him money.
Oh, that's getting old.
I know, right? It's like, come on.
It's not just being nice when it's thousands of dollars.
Exactly. And so Judge G, she's heard all of this before.
She has.
She's not buying Darion's excuses.
I bet she can see right through him.
She can't. So what does she do?
Tell me.
She rules in Javon's favor.
Yes, I knew it.
She orders Darion to pay back the full amount. $2,727.56.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
It is.
But he deserves it.
He does. It includes the loans, the bail money, and even those direct payments that Javon made for his housing.
Wow, Javon really went above and beyond for this guy.
He did.
Too bad it had to end like this.
It is sad, but I think this case shows the importance of having boundaries, even with your friends.
Absolutely. You can be supportive without becoming their bank.
Exactly.
And if you do lend money, get it in writing.
Always get it in writing. Protect yourself.
Protect yourself.
All right, so we've got one last case, and then we are done with this Judge Judy deep dive.
Okay, let's hear it.
So this case really shows how quickly a simple disagreement can spiral out of control.
Boy, I love those.
I know, right? So we've got Michael.
Wait, Michael. Not classic Carmichael again.
You guessed it.
He's back. What happened this time?
He's back with another car problem.
I can't believe it. This guy.
So he's suing a woman named Brenda.
Okay.
Because he hired her to do some catering.
Catering, okay.
For his son's graduation party.
All right, so what went wrong? Did she burn the food?
No, it's much more complicated than that.
Okay, I'm listening.
Michael claims that Brenda didn't show up.
What? She just didn't show up to the party?
She didn't show up, left him high and dry.
Oh, that's bad. What's her excuse?
So Brenda's saying that Michael canceled on her.
He canceled?
Yeah, like the day before the party.
Oh, so now it's another he said, she said.
Another he said, she said.
Classic Judge Judy.
So naturally, there's no contract.
Of course not. What would be the fun in that?
No contract, just a verbal agreement.
These people never learn.
I know, right? So Michael paid Brenda $1,600.
$1,600 for catering?
For catering. Well, it was a big party.
Okay, big party, gotcha.
Yeah. So he's suing to get that money back, and he's also suing for an additional $2,500.
$2,500 for?
For the inconvenience.
Inconvenience.
The stress, the hassle of having to find a new caterer at the last minute.
Wow. Okay, so he's going for the emotional damages.
He is.
Interesting.
So Brenda says that, Michael canceled on her, and she had already gone out and bought all the food.
Oh, that's rough.
I know.
If he did cancel, that's a lot of wasted food.
And she even brought pictures of all the food.
Okay, well, at least she should be prepared.
She did, but Judge Judy's like, that doesn't really prove anything.
Right, it just proves that she bought food.
It doesn't prove...
It doesn't prove that he didn't cancel.
That he didn't cancel.
Right.
So to try to prove his case, Michael brings in his son as a goodness.
Okay, the son was at the center of all this.
Right, the graduate, yeah.
And the son testifies that his dad never canceled on the caterer.
Okay, so now it's really down to who Judge Judy believes.
Right, she's got to figure out who's telling the truth.
And who's lying.
And
I love these kinds of cases.
Me too, they're so interesting.
They are.
So what do you think? Does Michael get his money back?
I'm going to say yes, but I'm not sure.
You are correct.
Yes.
Judge Judy rules in his favor.
Wow, I'm surprised.
She awards him the $1,600.
Okay.
For the catering.
But what about the extra $2,500?
She denies that.
Oh, okay.
So she says, you did have to scramble to find another caterer.
Right.
But she doesn't think that he deserves that extra money.
Okay, so a partial victory.
A partial victory. Yes, that's fair.
And I think this case just really highlights
the importance of contracts, especially in situations like this.
Because it can be really hard.
Yeah.
To prove your case.
Absolutely.
When it's just your word against someone else's.
Right. A contract would have made this whole thing so much simpler.
Yeah, and saved everyone a lot of time and money.
Exactly.
So that wraps up our Judge Judy deep dive.
That was a good one.
I know, it was a good one.
Lots of drama, lots of lessons learned.
It's amazing how these small claims cases can really teach us so much about
human nature?
Yeah, about human nature, about
the law,
about
relationships.
All in there.
It's all in there.
In Judge Judy's courtroom.
So we've seen the importance of clear communication, boundaries, documentation, always. And, knowing your legal rights.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power.
So as we say goodbye to the world of Judge Judy.
Farewell, Judge Judy.
What are some key takeaways for our listeners?
Well, I think the biggest one is document everything. Get it in writing.
Whether it's a loan agreement, a car trade, or even just a simple verbal agreement, having a paper trail can save you so much trouble down the road.
Right. And don't be afraid to seek legal advice.
Absolutely. If you're ever unsure about your rights or obligations, talk to a lawyer.
Yeah, a little bit of knowledge can go a long way.
It can.
So that's it for our deep dive into the world of Judge Judy. We hope you've enjoyed this journey into the heart of everyday legal battles.
It's been a pleasure.
And remember, these cases are not just entertainment.
They're life lessons.
They are life lessons.
Yeah, in disguise.
Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and remember, a little bit of legal knowledge can be your most powerful tool.
Word.
And we're back for the final round of our Judge Judy deep dive.
The gavel's about to drop one last time.
We've seen it all.
Broken promises, family feuds, those vintage car fiascos.
Oh, don't forget those.
Oh, yeah. How could I?
But, through it all, we've gotten some pretty good...
insight.
Yeah, insight of...
human nature and conflict resolution. Absolutely. It's like a crash course in the law.
And Judge Judy, I gotta say.
What a legend.
She's amazing.
She is. The way she cuts through the drama,
Yeah.
gets to the heart of the matter.
And delivers justice.
And always with a little bit of wisdom sprinkled in.
Oh, yeah, she's got the best one-liners.
She does. I feel like I learn something new every time I watch her.
Me too. So for our last case, we're going back to a story of friendship gone wrong.
Oh, not again. Who is it this time?
It's Javon and Darion.
Those guys. I thought we were done with them.
I know, but they're back.
What happened? More money problems.
More money problems. Javon's still trying to get his money back from Darion. Remember, Darion borrowed money for rent, for bail, and who knows what else.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Javon was being such a good friend.
He was.
Too good, maybe.
And what's even crazy is that Darion actually ended up moving into Javon's spare room because he couldn't afford rent.
Oh, man. That's putting a lot of tax on someone.
I know. So, as we know, Javon is a meticulous record keeper.
Oh, yeah, he's got those spreadsheets.
He's got it all.
Organized and ready to go.
He really came prepared.
Which is smart.
Yeah.
You got to have proof in these situations.
And Darion's still saying he doesn't remember how much he borrowed, claims it was just a few $100s.
Oh, come on, Darion. You're in court.
I know, right?
At least try to sound believable.
And he keeps saying Javon was just being nice.
That excuse is wearing thin.
Yeah, Judge Judy is not having it.
She can smell a lie from a mile away.
And so, what's the verdict?
She rules in Javon's favor.
Yes.
Orders Darion to pay back the full amount.
How much was it again?
$2,727.56.
Wow, that's gotta hurt.
It does, and that includes the loans, the bail money, the payments for housing.
Javon deserves every penny.
He does.
This case just goes to show you can't always rely on people to do the right thing.
Especially when money's involved.
Exactly. So as we close out this Judge Judy marathon...
It's been a wild ride.
It has. What have we learned?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is documentation is key. Get everything in writing.
Always.
Always, no matter who you're dealing with.
And don't be afraid to seek legal advice.
Oh, yeah, a little legal knowledge can go a long way.
It really can.
And it might just save you from ending up on Judge Judy.
That's a good point. All right, that's it for our deep dive into the world of Judge Judy. We hope you've learned a thing or two.
I know we have.
About the law, about relationships.
About human nature.
And about how to avoid those awkward money conversations.
Absolutely. Until next time, folks.
Stay informed, stay safe, and remember, always get